Welcome to Real Talk Real Women. My name is Miriam Khalladi, and today we have not one but two special guests on the show, Kristin and Kimberly Sheppard. The two sisters own a chiropractic office and own and operate the Diet Doc Decatur. Welcome, Kristin, Kimberly. How are you?
Hi, great, thanks.
Great to have you on. Growing up together, have you always been interested in sport?
Yeah, we've always been active our whole lives. We've done all kinds of sports. I think we're always involved in something and pretty much have been since we were little.
Right. What made you decide to go into the medical field?
When I was in high school, I wanted to be a physical therapist. And so I kind of job shadowed and looked at schools and decided that maybe that's not what I wanted to do. My parents and grandparents were longtime chiropractic patients. And my dad said, hey, why don't we go look at this chiropractic school? You know, what do you think? And so we went down and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the school, the philosophy, everything. And so I started school and I thought, oh, you know, Kristin will go, she'll be a surgeon and she'll, you know, move far away. And I was in school, maybe 6 months, and she came down to visit me, and I think she kind of fell in love with it at the same time.
You now run a chiropractic office together. For those not familiar with the term, can you explain what it entails?
Basically, the word chiro means hands, so it's basically treatment using our hands. We treat a lot of neck pain and back pain. We're sports chiropractors, so we do a lot of sports injuries. But chiropractic focuses on healing the body without drugs or surgery. So we do a lot of things with manipulation of the spine, soft tissue release. We do exercises, some physiotherapy modalities like ultrasound and muscle stim. But the whole idea is, you know, to heal the body, help the body heal on its own without drugs or surgery.
Right. And Kristin, how does your medical background influence your perspective on things as a figure competitor and former triathlete?
It does a lot. And whenever I did figure competitions, the biggest thing was I wanted to do it healthy. There's a lot of people that do the sport and they do some very dangerous diets. They do water depleting. It can be very dangerous. And so I think we approached it from a standpoint of we want this to be healthy. I don't do anything extreme to my body. I was a natural competitor. So that was a big part of what I wanted to do was stay natural. And then also as far as training, you know, as sports chiropractors, we're always very conscientious of our form and making sure that we're doing exercises properly. So, I mean, I think it definitely influenced both figure competition and all of the sports that we participate in.
As chiropractors, what are some of the most common things you see that prevent people from living a fit and healthy lifestyle?
Number one would be being sedentary and being overweight. And people that can maintain a healthy weight, they get better quicker, they have less problems. People that are active, they're just healthier in general. And I think obesity really is the number one factor in people and their health.
And Kristin, you specialize in sport injuries. What are the most common injuries you see, and what are some of the lesser known ways to prevent injury for women who exercise?
There are so many different ones that we see. It really depends on the sport. You know, we see a lot of female runners, a lot of adult females with IT band, plantar fasciitis. I see bodybuilders that come in with all kinds of lifting injuries, a ton of CrossFit injuries. And I think the biggest thing as far as preventing is stretching. People don't properly warm up, they don't stretch, and they don't use correct form. They rush things, they rush their sets. And they don't lift properly, and that leads to a lot of injuries.
I would add to that core strength. People having very poor core strength and then doing heavy weights or doing things also improperly and, you know, just getting injured because their core is so weak.
Kimberly, you also own a bachelor degree in human anatomy. If you could only spend 3 minutes with someone and had to teach them the most important lesson around our anatomy, what would it be?
We focus on the musculoskeletal system as sports chiropractors. So for us, that, you know, how the body moves, and, you know, a lot of chiropractic also revolves around, you know, kind of healing the body with, you know, reducing interference with the spine, you know, headaches, doing some manipulation of the neck, and realizing that drugs aren't always the answer. Sometimes it's just muscle tension that's causing pain. It's not necessarily something that you need to be on high dose medications for, and really educating people on what's causing their problem and how to fix it, not just covering up their symptoms. And I think that is really, really important for people to understand that, the more medicine you take, the more you're covering up things. Let's find out the cause of the problem and let's fix that versus covering it up. And that's really what we do. We really try and explain what's going on with the person, how your anatomy, do you have a disc that's pinching on a nerve, or do you just have a muscle strain, or do you have a rotator cuff tear versus a strain, and really teaching them how to properly, fix the problem and rehab it.
And I'll just add a little bit to that too, is people, and especially medicine in general, tends to isolate the body, whereas we're one of the professions that looks at the entire body. It's called holistic medicine. So if you come in with plantar fasciitis or foot pain and you have headaches, there's usually a component. Our body isn't segregated into different parts. It actually all works together. So I think that's a big part of what we do and try to explain to people is, look, these two problems, I know they don't seem related, but there's a connection there. And so figuring out where that connection lies and what we can do to fix it.
What are your thoughts on disease prevention in relation to maintaining a healthy weight? And how does that contrast against some of the extreme diets of fitness competitors and other professional athletes?
Obesity is one of the most preventable diseases in our nation. We can prevent that. Obesity is related to, cancer, heart disease. If we can prevent obesity, we can prevent a lot of these diseases that are out there. And that's something that's very, very important to us, especially starting with children and childhood obesity, and educating parents and kids how to eat properly and nourish our body. I think if we reduce the obesity epidemic in this country, healthcare costs will decrease. A lot of these diseases can be prevented if we can educate people on how to prevent obesity. Some of the problems are these extreme diets and, such things as losing weight fast with these liquid diets that are very ketogenic or low carb and very low calorie, and they don't teach people how to develop a relationship with real food. It's taking an addiction away from someone and then putting it right back in their face. And these extreme diets they're not long-term successful because you can't do them every day. And people want a quick fix, and that's the problem, is it's not a quick fix. You have to educate yourself. You have to learn how to eat properly. You can't survive on shakes and bars, and there's a lot of crazy diets out there, and there's, all of them work. You will lose weight, but you will also gain weight back with a lot of them in extreme proportions.
Yeah, I think just in people in general, when we also have a nutrition business, and we help people with weight loss, and we teach them to eat food. Mm-hmm. We teach them to change their relationship with food. And even people that are in bodybuilding and figure competitors, a lot of them have very
disordered eating.
They're disordered eating. So people that are overweight aren't the only people with disordered eating habits and a bad relationship with food, really an unhealthy one. So what we do is we teach people how to have a healthy relationship with food, enjoy food, because food should be enjoyed, but do it in a way that we can be both emotionally happy and physically healthy too. So there's a big emotional component to dieting, to weight loss, to fitness, and we address that. And that's where some of these extreme diet plans, they fail people, and people might they'll get results. And we always say that, yes, you will lose weight on that plan, but what we want you to do is be able to lose weight and keep it off permanently. And that's a totally different story than losing weight.
Absolutely. I've had many athletes and professional coaches and trainers on the show. As doctors, you also deal with quote-unquote regular people. What are some of the most common misconceptions you see on a daily basis when it comes to our health in general?
Oh, I just think people are confused.
Yes,
there's so many conflicting messages out there of, you shouldn't eat gluten, or you shouldn't,
no
carbs, or, this type of exercise is the only thing that you need to do. You need to do just functional training. People are so confused because there's a lot of people out there making money off of whatever they're selling, and really trying to get people the correct information about their body. and how it works and what can keep them healthy. I think we're
our program is based on science, and that's why it works, and we're so confident about it. There's nothing. We know how the body works. We know how carbohydrates burn fat and how carbohydrates store fat, and that's what we teach our patients and our clients, because if it's not based on science, then it's not going to work. And that's the biggest thing, is educating people on how your body works, what food does to your body. And that's why you can look, we always say, with our education, you can look at any diet and say, we know why that won't work because of science. And that's the most important thing as a doctor, is not to get into these gimmicky diets where you're losing food groups and you're not eating fruits because of the sugar, or you're not eating carbs, or you have to be gluten-free or paleo. That's not realistic. And it's all education. It's all based on science. And if you understand the science of how your body burns fat and stores fat, it's somewhat simple.
Tell me a little bit about the diet, Doc. It's originally designed by Dr. Joe Klensowski, right?
Yes. Good, yeah.
As doctors, why do you stand behind this specific program above anything else out there?
Because we're both diet doc success stories.
Yeah.
I had hired Dr. Joe when I was a professional. I got my 2 professional cards in figure competition. And the first time I dieted for a show, it was very, very restrictive. And I think she competed as well. And I won, so it worked. But I think my quality of life really suffered.
Yes.
My family's quality of life suffered. So I knew of Dr. Joe, and I knew of the program, so I hired him. And I think between working with him and Corey Probst, who's also at Diet Doc headquarters, we're doctors, so we thought we knew. Mm-hmm. We thought we knew nutrition, and Dr. Joe is really the guru. And he was able to teach us not only the nutritional standpoint of things, but the emotional part of it too. Mm-hmm. And I don't think realized at the time how much these competition diets can really have an emotional backlash. And I ended up not competing. I had seen so many girls go through figure competition and have really bad experiences where they may have looked, fantastic on the stage, but in the next few months gain a significant amount of weight, destroy their thyroid or their metabolism. So there was kind of a dark side to the sport that I didn't know of when I had started. So I decided that for me, because my job is to keep people healthy, that I didn't want to have that to be my platform, because when you get on the other side of it, it can be healthy, but a lot of people are not. And women look up to some of these women, and I think, if they knew what they were doing to their bodies, and it's not everyone. There are definitely people that work with great guys like Dr. Joe, and they're healthy, and they do it in a manner that's good for their body. But there are a tremendous amount of people who use substances to help obtain that physique, or really do metabolic damage. And there's an emotional damage, I think, that goes along with, you're in a bikini on stage under bright lights getting judged. And even if you win, they have a comment, and you're never going to be good enough. Your glutes need to be tighter. You really need tighter abs, and maybe genetically that's not going to happen for you. And for most women, I will say genetically you're not made up to look like the girls on the magazines that you see. And there are people fortunate enough to have the genetics, to be able to do it. But I think we've worked with enough women who are trying to achieve something that is just not right for their body, and to get it there, it would be very dangerous.
And I think Joe taught us, we were searching for something. We have small children, we have families. We were searching for something that wasn't exclusive of just us, where we had to eat our own food. The family had to eat something else. I mean, Dr. Joe basically taught us how to have the foods that we enjoy and yet still lose weight and can look like we want to and be lean and fit and still be able to have tacos and have pizza and have enchiladas and have a glass of wine. And that's really important when you're dealing with a family and small kids. And, we've been on both extremes. We've been on this really, really restrictive diet, and we realized that that isn't forever. That's not a lifestyle. That's a short-term program. And Joe's program it's a lifestyle, and it has done wonders for us and for our clients. And we stand behind him because it's science. It's science, and he's got two PhDs. He knows nutrition. He can back the science up, and that's really important to us. That it's based on proof, on science. It's all right there in all of his books. We'll lay it all out for you, and that's why we stand behind him, because there's nothing gimmicky about it. There's no bars, there's no shakes, it's real food and real life.
You mentioned on your website that the one-on-one approach is one of the key differentiators as well. Many women just pick up a magazine and start following one of the nutrition plans they find in there. What is wrong with that approach?
Even all the online programs that they have, they're cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of great programs out there, and yes, you'll lose weight, but they don't take into consideration that every Thursday night you have to have pizza with your parents, and we do. And they don't take into consideration that, there's a formal event, you have a formal charity event that you have to attend, or a party. And so yes, you can follow it for a few days, or you can follow whatever you read in a magazine until something comes up. And then what happens when that something comes up? We need to teach you how to navigate through that. And we want you to, like I said, enjoy food, enjoy experiences, enjoy time with your family, I think it's important to enjoy meals with your family. And, a lot of these plans, if you open up a magazine and just start taking advice and looking at their menu, what if you don't eat fish and it calls for you to eat fish? Mm-hmm. What do you do in that case? So we work with our clients. We talk with them online over email, but we're getting what's happening in their life and how that impacts their weight and what they're going to eat for that day. And that's extremely important. And you just don't get that one-on-one with the same person, with a doctor who's knowledgeable. I think that is essential to make things permanent, because you can put on blinders and follow a program, any program, for a certain amount of time, but life happens too. And so
I think it's easy everybody wants somebody to tell you what to eat. Well, I'll just look at this guide and I'll just follow what it says to eat. Well, you want variety. You want to change something. Our clients pick their own foods. We don't tell them what to eat. You get to pick your own food. If you don't like salad, you don't ever have to eat a salad. I don't eat salad, and that's okay. And it's just a taste thing for me. But you pick your foods. The cookie cutter plans, they have you fill out a little calculator on this is what your calories and your metabolic needs are. Well, they may not factor in that you're training for a triathlon or a half marathon. We take those things into consideration. We take a lot of different aspects of your life when we figure out what your macronutrient ranges are. What if you plateau? What do you do on a diet plan? That's where we come in, and we have to either change something in your diet, change your macronutrient ranges so that you can start losing weight again. And that's huge for people, because you can follow something for a short amount of time until it doesn't work. And then what do?
Then you switch to something else, and then you try a new diet pill. You try a new diet, and statistics show that 95% of people that lose weight will gain it back within 5 years. So, the diet industry is $1 billion industry. Mm-hmm. They want repeat customers. And I always say to our clients, my goal is to never have you as a repeat customer. I want you to lose your weight and have all the tools that you need to be able to maintain that for the rest of your life. That statistic just always sits with me, because I have a client who's worked so hard to get down to their goal weight. You don't want to see them yo-yo and put that weight back on, because each time they do, it's harder on them metabolically and physically, and more difficult to lose weight in the next time.
You both have children. How early do you feel parents should begin educating their children on health and nutrition, and where do you start?
As soon as they are born. Day one is when you should be considering their nutrition. Yes. And I know most new parents, when their kids are really young, they want to make sure they have the best formula, and they're really particular about what they give their children. But once they start getting to 4 and 5, things slip because kids like junk food. We all like junk food. We like soda. We like candy. And kids like that stuff because it tastes good. And it's convenient. They love McDonald's because they get a toy and it's convenient. So we teach our kids from the beginning, from when they first started choosing their own foods. And one thing I really want to emphasize is we don't use the word diet. We don't talk about weight ever, especially with young girls that we talk to. We just talk about being healthy and being strong. And I taught my kids from the beginning what sugar was and what protein was. That's all they really know about nutrition. But if they choose a sugary snack, they need to then choose some protein. And since they're probably 2 or 3 years old, they've been able to go to the refrigerator and find a piece of cheese or a yogurt, a Greek yogurt, have a sandwich. So they know the difference between what's a healthy food and what's unhealthy. And really by limiting the sugar and sodas and things like that.
And I think it starts with the parents. Like, we have to be the example, and we can't be eating Oreos and then telling the kids, well, you can only have 1 Oreo. Well, mommy's had 4 Oreos. Not that kids can't have Oreos, but you have to be the example. And, we try and have well-balanced meals for our kids. The kids need to have, a protein and a carb and a fruit and a vegetable. That's just kind of a simple plan. Do they like it? Maybe not always, but you have to try it and have a couple bites. And, if you don't eat the healthy food, there's no junk food. And I think you have to have a fine balance. You don't want to eliminate sugar and treats from your kids' diet, but you have to keep it under control. You are the ones shopping. You are the ones in control of their diet. If you as the parent don't lead a good example, then your kids are going to pick up bad habits too. And I think it does. It starts from day one. And the earlier you can keep fruits and veggies in your kids' diet and get their palate used to good healthy foods, the easier it is as they get older. If you feed your kids hot dogs and chicken nuggets at the age of 2 and expect them to eat, asparagus and broccoli rabe at 5, they're not going to be used to that kind of thing. So the earlier you start, the better.
Just one little tip that I have for parents is something I do at my house is my kids have unlimited access to, there's a shelf in the refrigerator that has yogurt, fruits, vegetables, applesauce, and then there's a whole cabinet shelf in the pantry that anytime they want something, they're allowed to go get a snack and get either a juice or water for themselves at any time. All of the candy is put up away in a cabinet where they don't see it. So we call it minimizing your environment or not having that stimulus there. If they see the snacks and the candy, if there's a candy dish, they're going to go to it every time. But unlimited access to healthy food, they'll eat more healthy food and
eat less overall.
They'll eat less overall. And instead of keeping them squared into, we can't have anything before dinner, anytime those options are available to them, and they will go get something healthy on their own.
Where can people go to learn more about you on the web?
We have a website. It's www.thebackinstitute.net. We also have a Facebook page, the Diet Doc Decatur, or the Back Institute at Facebook.
I will also make sure to put your links below this video.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about today that you feel we've missed?
No, I think we covered a lot of it.
You shared some golden nuggets today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Khalladi. For more inspiration, check out our website at realtalkrealwomen.com.